Good afternoon, and welcome to Authors in the Shade. I'm your host, Evelyn Rainey, and our special guest today is Diane Everett. She is a poet and a writer, and she is also an artist. And you can see behind her some of her fascinating sculptures. So, Diane, thank you for inviting us into your home today.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Tell us about your poetry books.
So yes, I've written 2 poetry books. They're both available on Amazon and through Sheltering Tree. They're both paperbacks. You can buy them paperbacks or hard copy. I don't have any audios yet, but I'm working on that. And looking forward to putting out, at least publishing one more poetry book by the end of this year. And I'm looking at getting into some children's stories. The titles of the poetry books are Rise, Dove Awakened and Angels and Daffodils.
Oh, and they're wonderful books. Thank you. So what inspires you to write?
I think it just comes from something inside of me that's going to come out. It's either going to come out in poetry, it's going to come out in some children's story, it's going to come out as a piece of artwork. What inspires me to write is just my spirit for being alive. I think that there's so many things that we are. I'm a writer. That's why I write. You know, how do you know you're a writer? Writers write. That's the only way to get there, is just to do it. So my inspiration comes out because that's what I do every day. And it's a continuum. It's a continuum from the first time I saw a poem that I liked and fell in love with the words and how you can feel the words and be a part of the words. And just a continuum from there, I still write.
So what is the hardest part of writing for you?
Grammar and spelling. I didn't learn to read until I was in the 3rd grade. So my education was skewed at best to begin with. I think the children who have a disadvantage, who don't learn to read early in life, early in school, I had a speech impediment. So I couldn't say R or L, like truck and wabbit. It was truck and wabbit. And wyin, not lion, wyin. So once I got over that, then reading became easier. But I think if you can't hear what someone who's reading to you is saying and then repeat it, I think that it slows the reading process down. So the hardest part for me, because I didn't get a good, solid introduction to spelling or grammar or the proper use of words, as I understand, that's the hardest part, is editing. It's editing.
Okay. And how do you solve that problem?
I let someone else edit it for me. That's just true. Okay. I don't edit my own work anymore. It's not in my best interest. I sent out a countywide massage once and it was supposed to be a message. So after that boo-boo in life, I went, I'm not doing this anymore. So even writers have limits, and my limit is grammar and spelling. Yeah.
There you go. And that's important to know. Okay. So, Diane, tell your readers, who is Diane? Tell us about Diane.
Diane's a pretty cool person, although she's just now walking into that belief in life. Diane has lived under a false belief that she's not lovable all of her life. So now that she has reviewed her life and looked at it from happy for no reason perspective, I know that I'm a lovable person, that I'm a talented person, and that for me to say those things isn't boasting or being rude or stepping out of a box that I shouldn't step out of. We are to be saying who we are and be our authentic selves. And because I believe that God made us all in his image, when I don't present my authentic self, what am I really saying? I'm saying that I don't believe that my God can do things like that, and that's not true anymore. So who is Diane? Diane is somebody who's still learning about Diane. It's a life-going process, I believe, an ongoing process for us to come into who we are, whether it's our spiritual expression or our artistic expression, or just our, do we get the dishes done on time? Whatever it is that we're working through, and being. I think that I think it's an ongoing process. That's who Diane is. She's just not done yet.
Thank you. Wow. Okay. Now my dog's going to jump up in my lap. Come on.
Hey, baby, you miss me?
Bite, bite her, bite her.
Yeah, really. Don't touch me. Is that my favorite buddy?
That's your favorite buddy. Hey, babe.
Hey,
Yeah.
buddy. Don't let him look at me. He might attack the screen.
Diane, I'm looking behind you at those gorgeous pieces of artwork that I know you did. Would you tell us about that, please?
Sure. My artwork, my love of art started when I was a child, 7 or 8 years old, and we used to go down to a shop down in the town I lived in. I was raised in Yellow Springs, Ohio, which is kind of a hippie Antioch College free, whatever, fun town. And we used to go down during the summertime and they would have art classes. So every summer I went down as a kid and we finger painted and we used rocks and scissors and strings and just had good kid stuff. So I love that experience and I tried to stay in that most of my life. But then I um, have 3 children. So I raised my children and I work for a living. And it's hard sometimes to operate a home and go to job full time and then come home and do artwork. So after my children left the house and I was an empty nester, I took out some of the tools that I had and I just started making artwork. I started actually making rattles and then drums and then went from that to root art, which is where I'm kind of landed now. And it's where you'll find a plant that appears to be dead, but it's not dead because spirit doesn't die. And I flip the plant upside down and say, oh, who are you? And it says, this is who I am. And then I form it into some sort of a image or an impression or a piece of art. It's just artwork. It's an expression of self. And I'm using my medium is roots and rocks and then butterflies. Or lizards or whatever else comes up in the moment, whatever I feel like sticking on something. It's just an expression. It's an expression of what I'm feeling or wanting to show. And it seems like when I can see an image in a piece of wood, then I can present it in a way that other people can see it too, which is the connection for artwork for me.
Tell us about Happy for No Reason. What is that?
Happy for No Reason is a series of tools, techniques, processes that were designed by Marcy Shimoff. And she wrote a best-selling book. It's called Happy for No Reason. And there's 7 steps that you can take and learn to be happy from the inside out. And I don't know about most writers, but I know that a lot of my writing comes out of an isolated sense or an isolated place of just going inside. We go inside, and sometimes when I come back out, I'm not as happy as I might want to be. And then because it's so pensive and it's so thought so much in your mind when you're writing that for me, these exercises have gotten me more fully into my body when I write. So when I can be embodying myself, my mind seems to say, I can calm down and write better. They're just simple tools and techniques, very easy to train somebody how to be happier. We all have a set point. So let's say my set point is here for being happy. I want to be this much happier. We can learn to be this much happier. You don't have to just stay whatever floor of happy you're stuck on. You can raise up. You don't have to go back down either. It's not something that goes backwards. So my progression in happiness has exponentially improved since I've taken this class. It has truly made me more of a unified, integrated and happy person. They're just tools and techniques, but they are specific to helping people learn to be happy. And then the more you practice it, the better you get at it. So it's wonderful.
So many people think that it's other people that make you happy or other things that will make you happy. And that's proven. And so you're saying that You make yourself happy. You decide whether you want to be happy or whether you don't want to be happy and at what level. Is that what you're saying?
That's exactly correct. We have the ability, because 50% of our happiness is based on genetics. 10% of our happiness is based on circumstances, and 40% of our happiness is based on my habits, my thoughts. Well, if they're my habits and my thoughts, I can change that. I can't change you, but I can change me. So as I change my happiness habits and my thoughts, I raise my happiness level. And it's amazing how simple it just works. It works if you work it.
Yeah.
Happy for no reason means that I carry my happiness within me. There's no external circumstance or situation that can cause me or force me or make me, which is what I used to think, oh, you made me be unhappy. You can't do that to me. That's on
Right.
me. That's up to me. Um, and I've proven that. I've taken a year and I've used these techniques and tools for a year now. I'm in the process of certifying, so God willing, and hopefully I'll be certified by the end of this month, and then I can go out and teach these happiness habits.
So, how can your readers or people that would love to be trained by you, how can they reach you?
They would be able to contact me through ShelteringTree.Earth, which is your website. Or they could contact me through dovesgift.com, which is my website. And I'd be glad to bring them into a class. I'll have Zoom classes, and I'm going to do live classes too, as well as Zoom. It's
Now,
important. Right now, people are so unhappy just because of life circumstances. And it's imperative that we learn how to be happy. Nobody ever taught me how to be happy. I didn't know that there were things I could do in my life that would raise me to happier. Who knew?
and you can't leap from absolute despair to happy. You have to go step by step up that chart.
Steps. And sometimes they're baby steps. And it's nice to have somebody walking with you. And I don't mind holding people's hands. You know, I did that at the school board for many years teaching SAP. When you're learning something new, it can be intimidating. And
Yes.
even if it's just something as simple as how do you hold your hand on your heart when you're at the grocery store? It's one of our practices to hold your hand on your heart and just breathe. Just find that sense of peace. And if you do this enough with the tools that we give, then it's so simple and so easy, and it just works. It just works.
That is wonderful. Yes. I look around and I see people who don't have a clue how to be happy. They don't know what it looks like. They don't know what it feels like. No one's ever taught them this. So I think that what you're doing is absolutely wonderful and it will change the world. So
It will
thank
change things.
you.
You're
Good.
welcome. Thank you.
Now, your dovesgift.com will not, it's not up and ready yet. So do
No,
you think by the end of the summer of 2023, it should be ready?
that is our hope. Yes, that is our hope. We are working diligently at making that happen. And there'll be a shop on the website that you can actually use a PayPal or something to purchase a piece of artwork. If you wanted to buy a piece of artwork or a drum, I make drums and rattles. And I'll have pictures of the drums out there, and I'm trying to work at how to have a video, just a short snippet of what it sounds like, what that drum sounds like. And then my books would be for sale out there also. It's kind of like one-stop shopping. Tell me.
Do you have advice? I mean, you've always been a writer, and we know that, but it took you a while to finally become published. So could you tell your readers some words of wisdom, some advice along those lines? How do they become published?
I don't know that I have any wisdom or words of advice, but I'll tell you my experience with it. Um, so shy. I was so shy because I didn't believe I was lovable. And these things that we write are sometimes ripped out of my own heart to put it on paper. So the emotions that come out with those words aren't always easy to share. Um, and it took for me people like you, Evelyn, who were willing to say, okay, this kid's got some talent. Let's just let her sit in it for a while. And then Donna read the first book and the first couple of poems, and I sat in it for a while. And it's kind of like a frog. I mean, after a while in that frying pan, you get so warm and then you can't get out. And you can't get out. So now I'm in the frying pan and I'm the frog and I can't get out now that I've been read, and it didn't hurt. I'm not afraid of it anymore. There's a fear in bringing yourself out and being public. I don't know how else to say it. There just is.
So, so you're advising your readers to take a deep
Keep
breath
going.
and keep
Take a
going.
deep breath. Drop back 50 yards and punt if you have to. Take a deep breath. Hang in there. Even if you never publish, write it anyway. Because sometime in your life, your little spirit's going to go, oh, somebody else could read this. Maybe they could benefit from it. Maybe this, one of the poems that I've got is about not sharing my diary. But my diary could save someone else's life. And
Yes.
when I look at it from an over perspective, from a larger view, they're just words. They're my words. If they help someone, then that's what they're there for. They've always helped me. I think that we writers write for ourselves. I am that selfish that these are my lessons that my spirit gives to me. And if I choose to share them, great. And if I choose not to share them, I think that's fine too. I just got so excited when other people didn't throw me away or disown me or tell me, ooh, that's really bad. Don't do that again in public, or whatever. And I was accepted. And my words they weren't argued with, they were just accepted. And the more they were accepted, the more I was accepted. Or the other vice versa. The more I'm accepted, the more I accept my own words. And then you accept them too when I show them to you. It's about growing up and just having that confidence to say there's nothing wrong with me, that I'm okay, and that because I'm okay, you can be okay. So these are my okay words. And some of them don't feel okay. Love doesn't always feel loving. Love doesn't always feel all gushy and smooshy and apples and, butterflies. It's not always like that. Sometimes it gets rough. And we get into those hard love conversations. And, it's not that you're moving someone into a dumpster, but you're helping them clean out a dumpster to move into. And we've got garbage we have to get rid of. And a lot of these poems for me were about getting rid of the garbage. And then at the end of it saying, okay, well, I got rid of the garbage. Where am I now? And the progression of thought that we go through when we write, or write a poem or write a short story, or these children's stories that we write, we're writing them for our own child. The child in me is the one who wants to hear the story. And if your child gets to be blessed by it, that's because I published it, not because I held it to myself. So that would be my experience. I don't know, but advice, I don't know, but experience, that's what I'm doing.
You've shared your personal story with me, and you said a life that's worth living. You made that comment that that's one of the things that you seek, and definitely one of the things that you teach is a life that's worth living. What does that look like for you?
It looks like an awful lot of joy and a lot of smiling and a lot of happiness, which has not been always a part of my life. I was depressed clinically for years and years and years. It's where a lot of the poetry comes out of that clinical depression. Um, and not that not that anyone has to go there to be a writer. Don't, please, because children will watch it. Don't do it. Don't go there to be a writer. But that's where a lot of my things came from. So it's going from sad to happy, or from just despondent to being full of life and energy.
You already have Rise Dove Awakened, and you already have Angels and Daffodils, and they are both glorious books. What other books should we expect from you over the next couple of years?
You're going to get at least one more poetry book, possibly two. And they're going to be more expansive as far as I don't know how to say that. There'll be two new poetry books, and I have got one story about how the fairies saved the deers from eating poison ivy. That's coming out very soon. Another short story, children's story on the seed, and I'm a seed, and I bet you're a seed too. And we'll get into the seed. I've got stories about going down into the elf and fairy world and making a bread hat for a king. And I want to put that story out there. And just whatever comes to mind. I've thought there's a title of a book that I want to write, and it's called The Nevermind. And I think that that will be an interesting experience for me to go through and then to share with everybody else. It's called The Nevermind. That's what you got to look forward to. Just whatever comes out, whatever's in there that wants to come out.
That's wonderful, and we are looking forward to that. And again, they'll be available on Amazon in Kindle and paperback, and with our new treelings, so they will also be available in French and in Spanish, and hopefully some other indigenous languages. And so I'm excited about your children's books coming out. That's going to be wonderful. And your poetry is always makes me cry, but it's also so inspiring. And I recognize myself when I read it. And I think you hear that from people who have read your book and in your reviews too. What wisdom would you leave with your readers?
At this point in my life, I would have to say, write. Just, I'll buy the paper for you. If you have to write it on a napkin, write it on a napkin. But if you're a writer, write it down and don't hesitate to write it down. And even if you write it down so you can read it in 6 months. My penmanship is not that good anymore. So write it down so you can get back to it, because those are your lessons. That's what I try to teach myself is through my writing. And I think that I understand enough now to know that when I write something, it does move me forward in that direction. So be careful what you pray for, be careful what you write, but write it anyway and pray it anyway. I don't think that we are lacking the ability to be our authentic selves. I think we're coming as a group, as people. I think we're coming into more of an ability to be our authentic selves. And I learned who I am by my writing. It's an insight that people who don't write don't have. So use that and get to know yourself, because that's who you're telling yourself you are. And whether you're writing a story that's not true, it's true for part of you, or you wouldn't be writing it. So that that imagination is priceless. It is priceless. It's what we have that makes us different in a lot of ways than all the other animals, or the people that were here before me. There's never been anyone like me here. I am the only one there is. Your job is to be you, and you're doing a great job being you. My job is to be me. I can't get in your body and be you. There's not enough room for both of us. And I'm not letting you in here to be me. There's just not enough space, There's enough room for me to be me. And then I write about it. So just keep being your authentic self. Be whoever you are. And that will be the love that we need to bring us all forward, I think. That's my wisdom, my advice. That's all I got. It's got me. I got me. That's all I got.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. Is there something else that you would like to tell your readers that I have not covered yet?
Just enjoy the words. Read them slowly. They make my senses move better when I read them slowly. This isn't a fast read. What I like to do is I pick a number. If there's 51 pages in the book, I pick a number and I'll read page 43 today. And the poem on page 43 is usually what I need to hear. So I use it more of a reference book for me.
That's
Yeah.
called bibliomancy. And that is a process of divination.
I didn't know that.
There you
I
go.
just do it because it's fun. Because it's fun. I do it because it's fun, you know? Yeah.
That's good. Okay. Do you want to give a shout out to anyone?
I do want to give a shout out, if I can give a real quick one. And it would be to you, because you have made not only the writing of my poetry, because you were my poetry teacher, and you were the leader of the writers group up at Unity. Um, you not only made it easy, you made it fun. And the more fun it's been, the nicer it's been. So this has been a very pleasant experience for me, and I am very grateful for it. I thank you.
It has been, as you know, this is my ministry. So I'm delighted. Thank you. Okay. Well, thank you for inviting us into your house. And this again is Diane Everett, and I'm Evelyn Rainey, and this is Authors in the Shade, an interview of authors and poets through ShelteringTree.Earth Publishing. And we look forward to seeing you again in our next interview. If you have any questions for Diane, you can contact her through ShelteringTree.Earth's contact pages. And we look forward to seeing you again. Thank you for coming to join us today.
Thank you. Thank you for letting me be here. Thank you for being who you are. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.